everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm here to talk to you about one of your favorite subjects of all time. Yeah, you guessed it, it's money. And I'm kidding on the part of it probably being your favorite topic. This is actually one of those topics that make most people want to run and hide, curl up in their shell, just not talk about, push it under the rug. It doesn't really matter your age, but it just seems to be one of those topics up there on the list that people just for some reason want to avoid talking about, aren't comfortable, tends to be taboo, etc. However, as young adults, we are trying to start this journey of life and get a healthy start in all aspects of our lives, and finances is one of those things you cannot avoid. And so today we're going to be discussing 5 ways that you can intentionally think about and start the dialogue with yourself, maybe with a spouse or a serious relationship partner, and just go ahead and start building that healthy financial platform and foundation that's going to allow you to have that beautiful start of your financial journey. And we're just going to dive into those right now. So let's go. And as a little reminder, if you have not subscribed yet to join the community, it's going to be right, I think, down there to hit the subscribe button, and its little neighbor, the notification bell. You can click on that, and that's actually going to alert you every time we make new videos, and that's going to be the first and third Saturdays of every month. So with that, you can stay up to date and stay tuned. One way that being intentional on your money helps, especially when you're a young adult, is it gives you a vision and purpose in this area of your life. Now, many of us would say, oh, we want to have a vision and purpose, in our relationships, in our careers, maybe in our families, maybe in our spiritual journey, our intellectual journey, whatever it is. But many of us tend to overlook the financial aspect of our lives. Maybe, like I said, because it is uncomfortable, or we just haven't thought about it many times. And then for many people, once they don't have a plan for their money, they just feel like they're completely out of control, and maybe they're really bogged down by debt or whatever it is, and all of a sudden they just feel so overwhelmed and they don't really even know where to start. And so having a plan and having a vision can really help set the course, set the pace, and it gives you that long-term goal and that vision and trajectory, and it gives you the why behind budgeting, or the why behind, sacrificing in one area for another. And it's so crucial, as we all know, to understand the why and really have that purpose and the vision that is going to drive us to have healthy decisions and make, wise decisions in this particular area. So that would definitely be one of the first reasons I would say being intentional with your money as a young adult can tremendously help you. Is right from the start, it can set the trajectory on where you're going to go for the next 40, 50, 60 years, and that can be very invaluable. Another reason that I would really encourage you to be intentional right from the start, especially as a young adult, is if you are one day wanting to get married, this is a wonderful gift that you can give to your spouse. The gift of, if you can, being debt-free, the gift of having an understanding of money, the gift of having a goal, a vision, having a budget and knowing how to stick to a budget, and overall just having that healthy view about money, knowing how to talk about money. And all of that is an amazing gift for your spouse, especially if that is going to be a woman. So that is one thing that is really high on a woman's list of needs typically. I don't know if you've ever heard of the book His Needs, Her Needs, but it just talks about, 5 of the crucial needs for a man, for him to feel respected and thriving and loved in a relationship, and then the same for the woman. And that was one of the high needs, was feeling that sense of security, especially when it comes to finances. And I definitely know that we are living in a more, you could say, progressive age or whatever when it comes to having women in the workforce and women working. But at the same time, there is always that sense of vulnerability that women do have, in the sense that we are, if you guys do decide to have a family and you do decide to have children, typically, potentially, I'm gonna say, the load is gonna be heavier on the woman, or maybe her paycheck will be going to pay the daycare or vice versa. But typically it is going to maybe be the woman thinking about it more, maybe the woman who's more stressed out about it. than the husband. And I'm not saying that this is completely the same all across the board, but I'm just speaking for me as a woman and having gotten married, I don't think I realized how much my view of finances and financial health and financial security would change once I got married. And I know that many people who are single are gonna be like, well, I need financial security too. And yes, no, I totally understand. We all want that. But there's just something, I don't know, like, I just had such a different perspective from when I was being single, like, because I only had to look out for me, you know. It was just focusing, making sure I had my belly filled up and my bills were paid, that my car was operating, you know, hopefully. And as long as all of those things were taken care of, I honestly didn't really worry about finances too much. I wasn't the best long-term thinker and long-term planner, so I was not really super stressed out about them. But then once you bring in the picture of somebody else and you are talking about finances together and you're realizing that now one of your salaries might be having to pay for both of you, then that's like a whole different topic. And maybe you're thinking about buying a house or having a child. There's just so many more things that I feel like that come into the picture once you're getting married and once you have maybe that serious partner in your life. And so that's why I just think it's so beautiful if you can get a hold of your finances. And I would say it's just so crucial, so crucial to know how to talk about these things and really do try to make a difference in that debt, because it can be really hard. You know, what if your spouse has say $10,000 of debt and you have like $100,000 of debt? Like, that's a lot to bring into a marriage. That is a lot, you know, like no matter which way you pull it, that's just a lot of financial. It's like a financial cloud over your head that you have going straight away into your marriage. And so if you can get rid of that debt or try to really tackle it and really get into that healthy financial mindset, it can be one of the best gifts that you can give to a spouse. So definitely a big encouragement there. And maybe you're wondering, why in the world do I have anything to say about finances, and why should you even bother listening to me? And that's a great question. Always a good question to ask about anything that you're listening to. But I just want to share with you and let you know that I am a natural spender. I love spending. I love eating out. I love going on vacations, Airbnb, you know. And also, like, shopping can be fun, especially if I'm stressed. I definitely had the tendency to go shopping to relieve said stress. And so I am not up here sitting on this like mighty horse, if you will, of, oh, I've done this completely perfectly and I've just been fabulous with my money. No. This is me just like recently, since I think last November, that my husband and I really decided to tackle this area of finances and actually be honest with ourselves. And now that we are in that stage, it's like your whole mindset just completely shifts, and you like can hardly believe that you were operating in the old mindset. And I know how hard it can be to rein in those, you know, those bad habits and replace them with new ones. But once you start doing that and you start feeling the progress and you start seeing the communication, especially if you're married with your spouse, and it starts to improve, it's like you never want to go back to that old self. You never want to go back to just spending and not knowing where your money is going or what's happening or knowing if you have enough to pay bills. This just completely transforms everything. So that's definitely something that I would really encourage all of you, you know, to just continue on with this journey and see where it'll take you. And I just want to share my heart and my story on where I've been. Moving on to the third point, and I think you'll start to see how these points kind of all integrate into one another. But the third point would be that living with intentionality eventually, if not sooner, allows you to live a more meaningful life. Because picture this with me, you have no debt. If you're really fortunate, and depending how long you've been doing this for, you have bought a house and you have no house payments. So you're looking at, you know, your house maintenance, of course you've got taxes and your bills and everything. But imagine being in a spot where you have no debt. The options just become much more open to you because you do not constantly have that cloud of debt hanging over your head and constantly having to think about making payments. And for one simple place, you know, so many people, we have like car loans and car notes. And just think, if you did not have that car loan in your life and that monthly payment, whatever it is, 100, 300, 400, 500, if you did not have that car payment, what else could you be doing with that money? And that's the mindset that you have to be thinking. If I was not in debt, or if I didn't have this responsibility of paying off this car, what options would I be pursuing? Would I be starting my own business? Would I be maybe taking a lower paying job that I really, really enjoy? But I can now have that luxury because I don't have to worry about paying, $500 to a car loan company. Or maybe you've been wanting to travel around the world and you found a really low budget way to do that. And by saving, you're allowed to do that maybe for the next 6 months. And so once you really get intentional, and it doesn't even have to be when you've completely paid off debt, just knowing what you have coming in, what you have going out. Once you actually write it down, you might be able to find some wiggle room in there for a new hobby or a new business, like I said. So I feel like the world really just opens up to you much more when you understand exactly what's going on with your money, what's coming in, what's going out, and the difference left over for you to be able to live with. And because this is always one of my most exciting reasons why I think it's super important for young people to hop on the bandwagon of financial health and really building that solid foundation, I would love for you to drop in the comments one thing that you would change in your life, and one thing maybe that you would do or explore or whatever if you did not have any debt in your life. How would you live your life differently? Please let me know. And it's just super exciting. And this goes back to that whole point of number one, having that vision and that goal and that trajectory and keeping it super clear in front of you so that way you're able to keep on with any sacrifices that you might be making now to get there. The fourth reason that I would encourage you as a young person to get on top of your money and just knowing what's going on is money is always going to be in your life, most likely, unless you decide to completely live off the grid, do your own thing, and just be completely separate from civilization. Money will always be a part of your life. And so, like it or not, the fact that it is in your life, it's probably a good idea to start now learning how to discuss and dialogue and getting comfortable with the topic of money. And especially if you do want to get married, it's super important to be able to talk about this with your spouse, discuss your goals together, and that will allow you to hopefully achieve those goals even faster because the two of you are working on it together. And sadly, this is one of those areas that tends to be brushed under the rug. People don't talk about it, or they just think that by ignoring it, the problem will go away. We've probably all done that at one point in our life or other, but that's not reality, unfortunately. We live in a real world that when we, make a decision, there's a consequence, whether it be good or bad. And if we do find ourselves in a place where we are having to look at the bad consequences of our decisions, well, sometimes you have to just have the courage, have the guts, and look at the problem. And until you look at the problem honestly and say, this is exactly where I'm at, maybe this is exactly where I'm at with debt, or I am spending more money than I'm making every month, or wow, I cannot believe I spent that much money eating out last month, or I cannot believe I not grocery shop, just do regular shopping so much, or I spent that much money on shoes, oh my word. Until you are willing to be honest with yourself, it's going to be really hard to make any progress, if you're going to make any progress at all. You have got to be willing to look exactly at where you're at, be brutally honest about maybe where you have not done so hot, and then make some changes and actually instill some things so that way you can get yourself out of where you are and into that healthier place. And of course, the more you can talk about this, the healthier your relationship with just even talking about this with yourself will be, but also being able to talk about this with a spouse or a roommate or whoever it is that you might be discussing these things with. Finally, I believe that the most important reason for you to really get a hold of your money from a really early age is that it helps you to help others. And most of us would say that probably one of the biggest ways we find meaning and purpose in life is by helping other people. The first part of this is that in order to really help someone else grow in their finances or to encourage them on their financial journey, or maybe if you're a little bit older and you're looking at someone who's younger and you want to give them wisdom, there is a sense that you have to walk through that path yourself first before you can really offer helpful advice. And I'm not saying that you cannot at all offer any advice if you haven't walked the path, but there is going to be a lot more meaning to your words, and you're going to be able to give much more honest and actual helpful advice, saying this is exactly what I went through, this is how I got out of the situation, and this is how I'm experiencing my life now that I'm on the other side of that. And that's so powerful for someone, you know, as they're going into college. Do they want to take out loans? Or they're buying their first car? Should they be getting that $25,000, you know, car loan debt right off the bat, you know? Or is there maybe a wiser, a different approach to be able to go accomplish the same goal, but maybe do it in a wiser way that could save them so much headache and financial stress later on? And then the second part, of course, I think this is one of the most fun parts of being financially stable, having financial, you know, means to be able to help others, is when it comes to giving. And I don't know about you, but I think definitely many people experience like, oh, I wish I could give my waitress maybe a bigger tip because she just, you know, told me about this tough circumstance that she's going through. Or maybe we've had a friend that we really wish we could help out more, or maybe someone who, you know, who they have car troubles and you wish you could really make a bigger difference if you only had the money, you know. But unfortunately, many people don't have the means to be able to give and to give generously because they themselves are not doing really well in that area. And so by getting a hold of your finances, by starting young, you set yourself up so well to be able to give generously to other people. And that's one of the most beautiful things of being a person, being human, and helping other people, is that once you set yourself up well, then it gives you even a greater opportunity to be able to give and really make a difference in other people's lives. And of course, money is not everything that there is to be had in the world, but so much of our lives does surround money. And so the sooner we recognize this, the sooner that we're honest with ourselves, and the sooner we're able to look at exactly where we're at and get a grip kind of on what's going on and have someone help us come up with the plan and really stick to the plan and start to implement it, the sooner you're able to, like we said, you're able to have opportunities to be able to take different jobs. You're able to give that beautiful gift to your spouse of having that financial awareness and maybe even being debt free. You're able to really give generously to other people, and just having that vision and feeling like you're in control, you know, of course to a level of a degree, but you're really in control of what's going on with your finances, and you have a say in the decisions of where your money is going. That's so empowering, and it's just so freeing. It's absolutely incredible, the feeling that once you've experienced it, you're like, wow, I'm never going back to just casually floating along, not knowing what's happening with my money, but I really want to be intentional with my money so that I can live the fullest life possible. And next time when I put up a video, I'll be reviewing and just kind of going over the budgeting tool that has really helped me. And I have tried quite a few different ones. I've tried spreadsheets, I've tried different budgeting apps, but none of them have been nearly as effective as this one. And so I'm super excited to share about it. And of course, everyone has different opinions and different things, but this has really helped me and then get on the same page. We're just super able to see exactly what's going on with our money. We're able to see exactly where we want to go and just have that plan, and that just gives you so much power and gives you, like, you know, the fuel to really get to where you want to go. Finally, if you like this video and if you thought it was helpful, please hit that like button, because it does let other people see the video and encourages YouTube to share it with more people, and I would be so appreciative. If you're new here, I encourage you to watch the videos about my adoption and my cleft palate, so that way you can get to know a little bit more about me. I welcome you to the community and excited to have you here. But until then, we'll see you next time, guys. Happy Saturday.